said it like that. That's dumb. Hey everybody, welcome to another amazing week of Case Files with Kat
and Ashley.
It's our last episode of season 7. What? Episode 30, season 7. This is craziness.
But are you going to tell people why it's our last episode?
Oh, it's our last. Well, it's a last episode. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to take a little bit of a break because I got the role of stage manager in our town at the Jetpack.
How exciting!
So if you're in the, Clear Lake area, come see me. Oh, that was the door. Anyway, I'm having a cocktail because we're out of beer. So we're going to see how fun this episode goes. Woo! Jason made a vodka drink. It's a vodka drink. Oh, close that up. Sorry, we still have the kittens.
I would have a cocktail, but I do have to still cook and do work.
Yeah, so we're just gonna rush through it. We're just gonna rush.
You don't have to rush through it.
We're totally gonna rush.
Okay, so you're gonna rush, but it's gonna be like 3.5 hours.
That's a child. Okay, go away. Bye. Shower time. I mean, always just calmness when you come over here, right? Like,
love it.
It is. Just we're on point.
We are the most professional podcast there is.
Are my children just kind of running through here? I've got kitties meowing. Okay, that's so great. But honestly, those kittens are the cutest. Am I right?
They are. They're totes adorable.
Now I just need to find people who will adopt them, or else Jason is probably going to leave me.
As long as he edits our podcast. I mean.
You can leave me, but
you still have to be our producer.
I know. The wizard. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to get started.
Okay.
All right. I thought I heard more meowing. Okay. So if you hear like a little, those are the cats right next to us. Okay, Ashley, buckle up.
I'm here.
Look.
I know. I see you're already.
Okay, so this case is wild, and it's one of those where I've probably watched 15 hours of court of court proceedings, 15 at least, and then the court TV breakdown of those 15 or so hours of court. We are so lucky that there are cameras in the courtroom, but I'm fascinated by the testimony that has come out of the story, because it's something that's happening right now. It's not over.
Oh, wow.
It's still happening, and it is like it involves betrayal and wiretaps and dental implants.
Oh my God.
Like, this family is crazy. Have you ever watched Succession? It makes that family look like the Brady Bunch. Like, it's just like we're talking like these are some people. So today I'm going to be telling you about the 2014 murder of law professor Dan Markel.
Oh, okay.
Do you know this story?
I don't think so.
So I remember hearing about it like years ago, and it just kind of came to mind when I watched, I can't even remember the name of it's a Netflix story where it was a little documentary, and it was like this woman who her husband died in the house, and she and her father were the ones charged with it.
Oh.
And it was a gruesome scene.
But did they do it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They took a brick and bashed his fucking head in, right? So I'm watching the story, and it's like, well, did the dad do it? Was he fighting?
Yeah.
Was it had they planned it? And I just remember watching the story, and Jason and I kind of talking about it, and I remember getting triggered by it. No, I know this story. Right? I know this story, and then I was like, what is this woman reminding me of?
Yeah.
I went back, and I found the story that reminded me of, and it's this story. So we're talking about Dan Markel,
Okay.
He was a law professor at Florida State University. He was a Harvard grad, a dad of 2, and a man who, I mean, let's be honest, he didn't see it coming, right? And so Dan was gunned down, literally execution style, in his driveway in Tallahassee in broad daylight, middle of the day.
Oh my gosh.
Like 11 a.m. He had just dropped his kids off at daycare, and he went to the gym. It's a Friday in July in Tallahassee, okay. So there's no students. It's summer break. He's like, it's Friday. I ain't got a job. I ain't got shit to do, right? So he goes to the gym, and he comes home, and he's on the phone. And he comes home, he's sitting in his car, talking on the phone. He gets out and he goes, hey, hold on a second. Sorry. Something in my throat. He goes, hey, hold on a second. There's someone in my driveway that I don't recognize, is who he says, what it says to his friend. His friend's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And then that's the last thing he hears. He hears like sounds, and he's shot twice.
My gosh.
He has a gunshot in his arm to show probably that he tried to protect himself.
Yeah.
But he has a shot in the forehead and a shot in the cheek.
Oh, wow.
And he was laying there. His car is still running. The car door is open. He's in his garage. The garage door is open. And the suspects leave. There's no robbery. There's
crazy
nobody.
In broad daylight.
Broad daylight, girl. Crazy.
I mean, it's crazy, period. Don't get me wrong. But like in broad daylight, that's wild.
Super wealthy neighborhood of Tallahassee. Like the Beverly Hills of Tallahassee. So he was totally ambushed. So at first, police had nothing. They had nothing. There was no clues left.
There weren't any witnesses.
It's like this. If something happened in
but you would think like being that kind of like they would all have cameras and you know what I mean?
Oh, cameras come into it. Mm-hmm. So at first, police had nothing. Dan died early the next day. So this happened on July 18th. The shooting happened July 18th. He died on the 19th. They knew he wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
But he did get taken to the hospital alive. The Tallahassee Police Department announced that Markel was the intended victim, and this was in quotes. It was intended victim, so it was definitely a murder. Yeah. This was a homicide. No enemies, no shady past. He didn't do drugs, no gambling. There's nothing like that. There's nothing in that past, like in that way. You know, he wasn't having an affair.
Scorned clients. Did you say he's a lawyer?
So he's a lawyer, which is how I knew about the story that we talked about at the dining table just a little bit ago, which I was like, if we do another sort of short story, that could be one. So that did come up, and I could mention it later. But eventually, all roads started to point back to one thing: a nasty divorce and custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. Does Adelson ring a bell?
No.
Okay. So Wendy's family, super wealthy. Her father, Harvey, he owned a really super successful cosmetic dentistry practice in South Florida, in Miami, Cape Coral. And I mean, it's like Ferraris and Botox, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole family was tangled up in each other's lives. So like when Dan married Wendy, he married the Adelsons. So they were super involved. And as it turns out, they were all involved in this investigation as well. So let's rewind.
Okay.
So Dan and Wendy met at Harvard after she and her mom, Donna, scoped him out on JDate.
What is JDate?
JDate is a Jewish dating service, online dating service.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So Donna and Wendy, this I have a problem with. I do. I have a problem.
I know. I hear you emphasizing.
My eyes get wider when I say Donna helped pick out who Wendy was going out with. I feel like helicopter parent much, right?
Yeah, especially at that age.
So they found Dan. They're swiping, and I feel
it's like they were looking for a victim.
Almost. We want to have children, so go ahead and just get whoever fits a good pedigree, get the children, and then whatever. It wasn't out of like love, romantic love. It was like an arranged marriage. Yeah.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah. Anyway, helicopter parent. So they were both amazingly gifted people, right? She was a writer, a legal scholar. She did immigration law, and he debated philosophy for fun. Like that, he was just like incredible. He was incredible.
Yeah.
They married in 2006, but right away there were signs of drama, and their friends would come out and say, "Oh yeah, shit, there was fucking drama," right? Like right away. Like even when they were engaged, there were moments where like, I don't know if I should marry him, and then they would decide to get married. Anyway, well, the wedding, my God, it was like, so it was a whirlwind romance, and they get married, and it's like all the fairy tales come together, it's just like extravagance and beauty and all this stuff. Well, Dan was very Jewish, and he was very tied to his Jewish faith. Like his faith meant a lot to him, and he kept kosher. And so do you know what kosher means?
Yeah.
So kosher, like you're not serving meat and dairy at the same time. Well, Wendy's parents, knowing this, they were the ones paying for the reception. They did not have a kosher reception. So the rabbi who did the ceremony, he had to leave. He couldn't be there. The other people who also kept kosher, they left. They couldn't be there.
Yeah.
And so he had to go around, Danny had to go around and apologize to all. I'm so sorry. There was a mix up, and he, but still like, I'm having fun. It's my wedding reception.
He didn't leave?
He didn't. It was his wedding reception.
Yeah, but
he was pissed. He was just pissed.
Yeah,
and he still just kind of made it through. And he was like, okay, that was your parents. It wasn't you. But like, that's a really... like, it's a big middle finger to his faith and what he believes in.
And his family and
friends. And he had to go around and apologize to everybody. And I mean, like, what? That's just a big F you. It shows no care for another person's desire, like what they want. And I just, I remember at Jason, when Jason and I got married at our rehearsal, and then the rehearsal dinner, right? Jason's mom got my mom wasted. They drank one of those huge bottles of champagne, just the two of them. And I was so mad at his mom because I was like, I told you not to do that.
Yeah.
Because there she was at the rehearsal. And Jason was being very director-like, he's directing, and he's like, Kat, you need to calm down. You're just like, it's fine. We're going to do it this way. And my mom was like, well, who the fuck are you? This isn't your day. It's her day. And I was like, oh no, this is our day.
Yeah.
Like, you calm down, right? Like, go home, you're drunk. And it's sort of like that, like, no, you don't get to decide.
Yeah.
You don't get to decide how this goes. But the children let her behave that way. Anyway, couldn't care less about Dan's wishes. So it was just a sign that the Adelsons were in charge, right? Anyway, they had 2 kids, eventually moved to Tallahassee for Dan's career. He was offered a really great job as a professor there, like not just like a part-time, like it was like, this was going to be like a really good professorship. High up the chain. And then in 2007, she moved on to be to the position of program director of Florida State Law's Center for the Advancement of Human Rights, and became a directing clinical professor in 2010. Not shabby.
Yeah.
Right? She hated the job. She did. She hated the job. She talked about it all the time. She hated it. It didn't make her happy. It's not what she wanted to be doing. But it was said, and several friends had said, like, oh, don't mention that he went to Harvard in front of her, kind of like she felt inferior to him.
Oh, I thought she went to Harvard too. I thought that's where they met. Like, I mean, I know it was through J-Date, but
I think it was through J-Date, and she didn't, because he was a bit older than her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So things soured pretty quickly. Wendy wasn't happy in Tallahassee. She wanted to move back to Miami to be closer to her family. She wasn't happy professionally, like I said. She wanted to be doing immigration law. Then she wrote a book called This Is Our Story. That was such a thinly veiled autobiography. Like, really thin. So this is from a website called Outside the Law, and it summarizes the book pretty well. So this is in quote. In the novel, Lily, not Wendy, a lawyer in her early 30s, gives up a thriving corporate practice in DC, not Miami, to follow her seemingly bright and sweet, if exasperatingly blunder-prone new husband, Josh Stone, to this God-forsaken place, namely North Florida State University in Hiawassee Springs.
Very original.
Where Josh holds a professorship. Unfortunately, Josh installs Lily in what he describes as an adorable, cozy country house that he has just rented without realizing that the place is infested with cockroaches. Lily overcomes her disgust at her new digs and the boredom of small town life by hooking up with a nonprofit and becoming a pro bono immigration attorney specializing in helping trafficked women, the only one in a 300-mile radius. So the chapters are divvied up between this character, Lily, and the people who she's helping. She eventually adopts one of the children that she's helping. Okay, so the Lily chapters are notable for the character's increasing contempt for her husband. Lily criticizes Josh for his short stature. Quote, he is my same height, which is something I had never considered pre-Joshua because I had already determined that my dating window extended only from 6'2" to 6'4".
How shallow. Oh my God.
His pouting, his habit of calling her Lily Billy Goat under the misimpression that it is endearing, his insincerity in asking what she wants him to make for dinner when he had already begun preparing spaghetti and pasta sauce. Quote, I think dinner's going to be really good, sweetie. Josh looked really proud of himself, like he just climbed an icy mountain in wintertime instead of preparing a simple meal like I do for him every single night.
She seems really ungrateful for the life that she has, to be honest. It doesn't sound like a terrible life.
And she's not a really good writer. So, but being the academic that he is, Dan didn't read it.
Nice.
But he did gush about his wife having written it, and he promoted it on his blog, law blog. And, you know, he did good hubby duty in doing that. But should he have read it? Probably. It probably would have taken him very long. I mean, happy wife, happy life. You know how the saying goes. What are your thoughts? Should he have read it?
Yes. I definitely think based on the red flags previously that were going on, he should have read it.
What if he couldn't help but be honest? Like, that's probably why he didn't read it. I think that he'd be like, it's great.
I don't think he should have promoted it if he didn't read it.
I think he was like, well, I'll promote it and not read it. And that'll be like equal. Because what if he read it and never promoted it?
I don't know, but I think you should both be happy. I don't think just the wife should be happy.
It wouldn't have taken him a long time to read it. It probably would, he's an academic after all. But if he had read it, Ashley.
Yes.
Not to victim blame.
Right.
He would have saw what was coming. Because the character fucking leaves him in the dust and adopts 2 children without telling him after she hands him the divorce papers. She's like, oh, and by the way, I adopted 2 kids who do not have your name because we are not married anymore. Like, I don't share your name, so they aren't going to share your name. They're going to have the name of their mother, which is exactly what happens later.
But they have their own kids in real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
They sure do. So one day he goes out of town. When he comes back, the house is empty.
Shocking.
Empty. He calls it Pearl Harbor. all that's left is a bed and the divorce papers on top of the bed. So dramatic.
I feel like calling it Pearl Harbor is pretty dramatic in itself, though.
I know. Well, because he says it was the start of a war.
Oh, I see.
It's the beginning of that war. It was that first strike, right? And like everything, so they decided to split up. And I'm going to skip over all of the motion. So two lawyers getting a divorce, I'm sure is hell on their divorce lawyers.
Yeah.
Dan thought that his divorce lawyer didn't know a fucking thing. So he wrote all of the motions himself. He wrote every brief, he did it, which is probably not good because it came out super petty and it was just like the two of them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But they did decide they split custody 50-50. Everything kid related would, if there was a conflict, they would have to go through a third party mediation person. I mean, it must have been hell for their lawyers, but you know, like, you think,
I'm
you
sure
know,
their
so
lawyers are making good money though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, after about a year, Wendy decides that she had had enough of Tallahassee, and asked the judge to allow her to move back to Miami. She said she was the primary caregiver anyway. She had actually taken a parenting sort of class before she filed for divorce. And so she was like setting herself up, like taking photos of all the things that she was doing with the kids, right? Which is what the other fucking lady did in the Netflix thing. She took all the photos. Crazy. You should see that one. That's a crazy story. I'll find out what it is. It's crazy. Because it was like the nanny becomes the mom and then like says like, I gave birth to her to like strangers. Yeah, it's a crazy story. But she was like taking photos and recordings, you know, so same thing. I was like, something is this is triggering me. And so I had to find the story. This is why it's back here. So she's a primary caregiver anyway. Why can't she just move? The judge denied the request, and there was no way that Dan would allow Wendy to take his kids away. He was such a good dad, and it was important for him to make sure that they were getting not just a good education, but also like to learn about Judaism in the way that he wanted them to learn about Judaism. Yeah. He had found out that she had been trying to move them to another school without telling him, and they had 50-50 custody. So like, you can't fucking do that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no way that Dan was going to let her move back to Miami. Like there just wasn't. So we're talking about now years of filings and motions and accusations. He was trying to really get her disbarred, like the whole thing, because there was some there was some malfeasance that he was saying happened. She was not financially being honest. Yeah. And that she was not being a good faith actor in any of these proceedings. So I thought it was pretty interesting. The court denied Wendy's request to relocate the children, and reportedly the Adelsons were the ones who were the most furious. They wanted her and the kids back in South Florida. So in the middle of this, they each started seeing other people. Wendy started seeing somebody, and his name was Jeff Lacrosse, and Danny started seeing somebody named Annie. She never gets interviewed or anything like that. And they both are seemingly like having this separate life. Danny seems happy. Wendy seems Wendy. And
so Jeff would bring other people into this mess.
So Wendy's dating Jeff Lacoste, who, by the way, is like a doppelganger of Danny. Like, weird. They look so much alike. Bizarre. And I'm like, And he's a social work professor, a sweetheart. He knows, he falls hard. He fell for Wendy hard, girl, hard. I couldn't date somebody. They were only dating for 9 months, 6 months. if somebody was always talking about their ex-husband or ex whatever, like every single day, and it was affecting how like their mood every single day,
And in court all the time about it.
I just wouldn't. I just would be like, you know what? I don't know. This is a lot. Get through your stuff.
Yeah.
Get through your stuff. All she did was talk about how much she hated Tallahassee, how much she hated her job, how she couldn't believe she was stuck in Tallahassee. I mean, like, you don't want to be here. Like, I don't know. I don't know how like connected I would feel with somebody who was just miserable in their own existence all the time. So she was always mad at Dan, which made him always mad at Dan. And Danny was always doing something and he fucking hated that guy. And so I was like, was she trying to get him angry enough to do something for
like,
her?
Yeah.
You know, like maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of, to me, that's how it sounded, like listening to the story, you know, over and over and over again. But what they had a pretty rocky little relationship, the two of them. And she would like love bomb him. Honestly, she would be like, let's move in together, but then kind of push away. Let's have the children call you daddy. And maybe because he looked so much like Danny, like she what? Call me daddy. You know, like that's weird. You know,
like he thought it was weird, or you're saying
he thought it was weird.
Yeah.
So he was in love with her, man. Like he was just crazy. She must have a golden vagina, but like he was in love with her.
Yeah.
But even he was going, hold up. Like he would be like, hold up.
Yeah.
Slow your roll. Slow it down. I mean, he's a social worker.
Yeah.
You know, like there's he does have some counseling experience, and he was like, oh. So there were red flags going up for him, but it didn't control his own emotions about her because he was in love with her.
Yeah.
So he was willing to put up with a lot, but there were also some things that seemed to be red flaggy for him. So she would love bomb him and then pull away. Love bomb and pull away. And I think he was so confused and wrapped up in her, and just something just kept saying, something kept him from going, okay, I'm in. What do you want me to do? You know, like something kept him from that step. And then Wendy told Jeff about 4 days before the murder that her brother Charlie had looked into hiring a hitman to take care of Dan. There was a broken TV. Charlie made a joke that it was cheaper to get her a new TV than hiring a hitman, so he bought her the TV. And when the guy came to install it, she repeated that joke to that guy too. Like, what? So Jeff and Wendy get in a fight. They break up. They're
fighting about her talking about a hitman.
No.
Oh,
this is like
just
4 days. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
This is after that time. He's accusing her of seeing other people. Like he just feels like something's going on. She's acting really strangely. Something's going on. So they break up. They get back together. They go on this really rando date. So this is like Wednesday, and they're like on this really rando date, and it's just like it doesn't go well. They go to yoga and they go to movie.
Oh my god! If anyone ever takes me to yoga on a date, like that's it. That's my red flag.
I mean,
that's it.
They're already dating. Leaving. It's not like I'm wooing you kind of a thing. Right? They don't have dinner. They hold it, and it's just like he goes, "Oh, it was so awkward." And then after it was over, it was like, "Okay, yeah, see ya, peace." Like they just like break it off.
Yeah.
You know? But as she's leaving, she says, "Oh, wait, you're going out of town on Friday, right? What time are you leaving?" Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you care?
Yeah.
Right? We're never going to speak again, right? Like,
yeah.
What? And
please tell me he didn't tell her. Oh my gosh.
They're broken up. But he ended up leaving a day early. He left on Thursday. And that Friday, July 18th, is when Dan was shot and killed at home. So was she setting him up?
Or was she going to kill him too?
The 2 years after the divorce, Dan's gone. Dan is gone. And Wendy's initial actions. Immediately after Danny's murder, Wendy cooperated with law enforcement. She came in She had been doing things around town, and they picked her up at a restaurant, and they informed her of what happened, and she's playing the grieving, ex-wife. Oh my God, who would do that? Oh my gosh, who would do that? I mean, my family loves me, but I don't think that they would do it. Or maybe it was Annie's ex-husband, or maybe it was Jeff. Or maybe, I mean, my brother made a joke
my
about,
God.
she's just throwing names out.
Yeah.
I think she threw her brother under the bus. Anyway, so she says, Wendy's crying. She's dropping all these names. And one was that ex Jeff Lacoste because he hated Danny. And then Wendy claimed that her brother, Charlie Adelson, had made a joke about hiring a hitman. She had told Jeff 4 days before, last year, so in 2013, last year, my brother looked into hiring a hitman and said it was like $15,000. He goes, I can't remember if she said $15,000 or $50,000. So they kind of just left it at 15. Specifically, she said that she had set up a Best Buy appointment to fix a TV around the time of the murder, making it appear as if she was elsewhere, and that Charlie had joked that buying her a TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman. So police bring Jeff Lacoste in on July 21st, and then again another time. So he has 2 really long interviews. Lacoste had an airtight alibi. He had left on Thursday, so he was like south of Atlanta at the time of the murders, and he has receipts to prove it and all of that. But so as he's talking to investigators, he's like, can I say something off the record? And so this is sort of the conclusion of that question.
As far as whatever you want to talk about off the record.
Yeah.
And she gave me the answer that I kind of expected she would. And ultimately, it depends on what it is you're going to say. Because if it's something that's instrumental to the investigation, it can't really be off the record because, I mean, we're trying to solve a guy's homicide here.
I know. It's hearsay. It's tertiary hearsay. I don't know if that's useful to you. I tell you something, somebody told me, somebody else told me.
Yeah, I mean, and you'd have to tell me what it was, and I would have to say, okay, is this something that can be excluded from the report, or is it something that's inculpatory? Is it something that...
Maybe I can just make it simpler than that. Maybe I could just say, I would be investigating Charlie Adelson.
Okay.
Maybe it's that simple.
What makes you say that? And here's another thing. We're talking to a lot of people here.
Sure you are.
And, you're just telling us what you think.
Sure.
And everybody else is doing the same thing. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. What we're trying to do is just get all the puzzle pieces before we start trying to put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
We're still in the stages of getting all the pieces.
I got you.
So why do you think it would be pertinent for us to investigate Charlie?
He's very angry about Danny. And if you met, I know he's down there, you can't get him in front of you, but you're, experienced investigator. If you got in front of this guy, he'd set off your radar, set off mine. I used to do juvenile justice, I used to do forensic psychiatry. He set off my radar a little bit. He's a weird guy, strange guy. He's a conduct disorder kid, and he hates Danny. And see if I can put it a little vaguely, or not, but this is enough to be useful here.
Let's not put it vague. Let's go with what you know specifically.
Wendy had reported to me that Charlie had considered all the options possible to take care of this problem. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And when she said it,
when did she disclose this to you?
I don't remember when, but she said it was chilling. Because she said, can I tell you something confidentially? And I said, sure. She said, I think Charlie kind of looked into some options, like literally saw how and why, how you would do this if you did it. I think this was last summer when she had her petition to relocate, denied. That family wants her back there so bad.
This is when she disclosed this to you, was last summer?
No. This is when...
Charlie
had been examining all the options.
Okay.
He's a very successful dentist, but he reeks of antisocial behavior. Now, I could be 100% wrong, but I wouldn't want to miss that if I was investigating it. He's got a close friend who's a ex-special forces guy, like a Navy SEAL or something he hangs out with all the time.
What did she say to you specifically? I mean, when you say
she said, Charles, I can't remember exactly, but it had something to do with the amount of money it would cost to have someone killed.
And what did she say?
Something like Charlie looked into how much it would cost to have someone killed. Something like that. Some statement like that. I can't remember.
Did she give you a dollar amount?
But that's the other thing. He's a dentist, but he's an independent businessman. He has a bunch of practices, and he's a Ferrari, and he gets a millionaire, all this kind of stuff. So he has a lot of resources. And well, that's why I screw them. I got from me talking to him myself in the hot tub one time, a few things Wendy said.
When was this?
March 15th-ish. I was there for the one day with him. I stayed at his house.
Of this year?
Yes. Wendy and him were talking. I'm just listening. I just met him an hour earlier. We're sitting in the hot tub having a beer. It's a really nice house. And I guess this is what occurred.
Was anybody else in the hot tub with you guys?
Not during this part of the conversation. Another guy, his roommate, came in eventually, and then it just turned to talk about girls and stuff like that. But, and I'm not trying to play cop here, but I do know one thing you'd be looking for is a lump sum of money moving around and some kind of crazy stuff happened. And I think there's a lot of financial irregularities. I think there's a lot of, tax fraud kind of stuff, and putting stuff in different people's names and moving money around, and there might be cash. I don't know exactly what, but he's not doing anything on the up and up in his finances. It was pretty clear. He was pretty open about that. So I thought about it. If you guys do look into it, I don't know that.
How the exact conversation in the hot tub go?
He was just talking about, I put that in Dad's name, I put that in Mom's name, and it was just clear that
hiding resources.
Yeah.
Monetary resources.
Yeah. So if you have to do an investigation, that's something you guys should know, because I think there's a lot of, I don't know if it's illegal, but I know there's a lot of, he plays the system,
Indeed. So this interrogation, these two interviews, he comes through, he's really breaking open the case for the investigators, because he's actually I was there when he said X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
And so it's not that part, the part of she told me that he had looked into getting a hitman. That might have been considered hearsay. Wendy denies telling Lacasse any of that. So that's up for debate. It's not, she doesn't admit to it. There's no proof of it. What are they going to do? He said, she said, right? So they see in surveillance footage that there was this light green, I forget the name of the color green, this light green Prius that followed Danny out of the gym parking lot. They see it come in and wait, nobody comes out of the car. And then when Danny leaves, the Prius leaves right after him. The neighbor that called the police after seeing Danny in his garage on the ground with his car still running and the garage door up, he said he saw a light green, what looked like a Prius, leaving the neighborhood right around that time. So they had that. So they are eventually to get security footage from all over Tallahassee. Did you know city buses have cameras on them? One of the buses actually caught the Prius following Danny home. And they were able to get a good enough shot. Couldn't see the drivers, but they were able to get a good enough shot of the car to see that it had, so it was a light green color, but the right side mirror was black. It was the aftermarket. It was being being repaired.
Yeah.
That's how they repaired it. They didn't bother getting one that matched. So it was this green Prius with a black side mirror, and that it had for Texas, it's an easy tag. I think they called it a sun tag. So for the toll roads, right, for the toll roads. and it looked like a little thing that you just stick up, not a sticker, but it was like a suction cup kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have any toll roads in Tallahassee. So they're like, oh, well, let's figure out where this car came from. And so they were able to find out through the toll authority that this Prius, they found where it had come from, and they were able to get it back to Miami. And they could see the broken mirror and all of that. And they were able to finally get they found out who it belonged to, and it was from a rental car, an electric vehicle rental car place in Miami. And that little toll booth thingamabobber, right, saved the day. And so the tip leads to this EV rental car place and to Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia, who were the renters of that Prius. They used their real names.
Nice.
Now, one of those was considered like a very high up, if not the leader of the Latin Kings gang in
These
Miami.
gang members rented an electric vehicle and used their real names to go commit murder.
With their real phone numbers and everything. So they were like able to
These
get
are
it.
not very good gang members. I'm sorry.
So when police dig up their phone records, guess what pops up? The Adelsons.
What? You don't say.
Specifically, a woman named Catherine Magbanowa, the mother of Sigfredo Garcia's kids, and also, allegedly, the girlfriend of Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson. So the woman was the link between the hired hitmen and the Adelson family. And so if you're wondering how law enforcement proved it, they did it with a classic sting operation. This is like a movie. It's like a movie. How is this not a movie already? So they had a hidden FBI camera. They went to the South Beach Dolce Vita wine bar. So movie-like. And they have so much audio from this. Like, they're not super smart. I don't know. They make a lot of money, but they're not super smart.
I mean, gang members using, I don't know. I just can't imagine.
So they go to the wine bar
Yeah.
and they get Charlie Adelson and Catherine McManawa on audio having conversations with like somebody talked. And you know, so like they had the money trail. Hold on. Like, what were some of the things? It was just like, I need to pull this up.
I think two gang members crammed into a Prius is pretty like, I don't think anyone had to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
And they were just like these super buff dudes.
You know what I mean? Like,
and they go and they get their money out of the ATM. Like, still,
Anyways,
like,
I'm
it's
sorry.
so
Go
funny. So they got Charlie and Catherine McBanowa meeting up, drinking wine, whispering shady things like, if they had any evidence, we'd already be arrested. They're going to start putting pressure on people. They're just trying to see what people say. Totally normal lunch conversation between a dentist and his girlfriend, who may or may not be the middle woman for a murder for hire plot. You know how things are. So the FBI secretly records Charlie and McBanowa talking in code about the hit. Like, they are so stupid. They knew they were being listened to, right? So they would go, oh, I had a pork belly pig show up today, and just you know, you're talking about the cops, dude. You know what I mean? Just not. And then Catherine McManaman would be like, "Are you serious? Like, can't you think of something better than that? Like, don't you hate pork belly pigs?" Like, it was just stupid things like that. So the FBI records Charlie and McManaman talking in code. Charlie calls the murder the TV story and references people trying to extort him. So, I mean, he's not smart. So then it gets worse. The police wiretapped everyone. They got phone calls. They got text messages, even Donna Adelson's emails, which aren't good at all. So let's talk about Donna. So Wendy and Charlie's mom, Donna, there is an older brother, John, who is not a part of the family anymore. He was like, fuck y'all. So Donna was the helicopter of all helicopters, right? She emailed Wendy about Dan in ways that were wildly inappropriate. She called him names like gibbers, suggested ways to punish him through legal channels, and constantly obsessed about how to get the kids to Miami. She even told Wendy in an email to dress them up as Nazis and have them convert to Catholicism.
You're fucking kidding me.
She's Jewish. That is how much she hated Danny. The disdain.
She picked Danny out. Like, ugh.
But she can't control everybody. She thinks she can control everybody. So remember when I said she once joked about hiring a hitman? Like, that was an actual conversation with Dan. Donna joked about hiring a hitman with Danny. So he told his lawyer about it. So yeah, when he ended up dead, police were certainly interested.
Yeah.
Right? So now this is where it goes like full Netflix original series coming up. If someone needs to pick us up. Someone needs to do
I'm
this
sure
work.
it's in the works.
In 2022, undercover cops approached Donna at her condo in Miami, pretending to be Sigfredo Garcia's or the other guy, like family. Like, hey, you helped out my brother, but you didn't help out my other brother, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So they handed her a note that says, we know what your family did. Pay us or we go to the police. Like, you still owe us money. You still need to take care of us. And instead of calling 911 or freaking out, Donna calmly goes to Charlie, and surveillance picks up both of them whispering nervously in his condo's garage. They know something. They're going to use her to flip. This is not good. But did they report it to police? No, not for 4
Wait,
days.
they're going to use who to flip?
McBenoit.
The girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So even then, it wasn't Donna. It was Charlie's lawyer who went to the cops with this like, oh, someone's trying to extort us kind of a thing. That alone told investigators everything they needed to know. This family wasn't being extorted. They were panicking. So fast forward to 2023, Charlie, the two hitmen and McBenoit do get arrested, and Luis Rivera goes ahead and says, I'm guilty, because he was already getting jail time. And he was like, you know what? If I help you, can I get less jail time? And they're like, yes, because you're just the hitman, right? Like, yes, you didn't even pull the trigger, right? So he's like, okay, I'll help you. So he gets an additional 10 years or something to whatever he was already doing. So he's not going to go to jail for life.
When you say they were already going to jail, it was for something separate?
Mm-hmm, something
Okay.
separate. So he testifies in court against everybody else because he's just like, look, I was just hired. We were given money by the dentists. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know?
Yeah.
So he goes to jail. Sigfredo Garcia gets sentenced to life in prison. Catherine McBenoit's first trial ends in a hung jury. So she's tried again. She ends up getting sentenced to life in prison. Charlie gets arrested. He goes to jail. He's now sentenced to life in prison. And now, the mastermind, Donna, has been arrested. Her court date was scheduled for June, but it's now been pushed to August. Crazy times. Okay, so Charlie goes to jail. When Charlie gets arrested, he goes to court. Wendy shows up. She's, Wendy Adelson sitting quietly in the gallery. She testifies under immunity, claiming no knowledge of the murder plot. So the only way that anything she says can be used against her is if they can prove that she's lying. Okay, that's like, so you have to tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth on the stand and they can prove it, then your immunity is out the window.
Right.
But she had to admit, after the murder, her entire family changed phone numbers immediately. after the murder. The trial ended in conviction. She didn't help her family at all. Charlie was found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. He's serving life in prison. Catherine McBanawa, first trial ends in a hung jury. Like I said, she's serving life in prison. And here's the kicker. In late 2023, Donna Adelson was arrested at the Miami airport. She was with her husband, Harvey, who I think also should be arrested, trying to board a one-way flight to Vietnam, which has no extradition treaty with the U.S. She had cash, she had her passport, and she had her itinerary, and she's now facing charges for murder, conspiracy, and solicitation at 73 years old.
And Wendy's not facing charges?
It's a start. This isn't justice, but it's a start. Dan's parents, Ruth and Phil, still don't have access to their grandkids. Wendy's never been charged. A lot of people still believe that there are unanswered questions and a lot of dominoes left to fall. But one thing's clear. Dan Markel wasn't just a victim of a hit. He was the victim of a family conspiracy rooted in entitlement, money, and a complete lack of empathy. So will she get charged? She testified at her brother's trial under immunity. But there's still a lot of speculation about how much she knew, especially since her mom once joked that if Dan that if Wendy couldn't move to Miami, she would just hire a hitman. I mean,
And I feel like the brother joke about the hitman too. Like, I feel like
it was said out loud.
Yeah.
The whole case is horrifying. Dan's parents, especially his mother Ruth, have been vocal for years demanding justice. They fought not just for convictions, but for access to the grandchildren. And that's heartbreaking because those kids not only lost their dad, they lost that whole side of the family. She changed the kids' names. She took away their Jewish names and she changed their names to Adelson. So there's no more Markel. She's a bitch. And everyone is waiting to see if Wendy gets charged. So the prosecutor, who is amazing, she's working really hard to make sure that whatever charges, if she can bring any, stick. Because you only get one shot.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a great video. If you go on YouTube, it's from Carl Steinbeck. And it's about what the prosecutors can use against Wendy. So it's all like circumstantial evidence. It's over like, I watched the entire thing. It's like an hour and 40 minutes of just data points. It's all circumstantial evidence. But all of those little pieces add up to something. Who benefited the most? Who, what would have been her motive? There's so many things, right? He was really going after her profession. He was going after the family. He didn't want Donna to have access to the kids without supervision because the kids were coming home saying, Grandma says you're evil and that you're trying to take away her sunshines and, just all kinds, you know what I mean? Like she was trying to turn the kids against Danny. Anyway, it's just a lot of little data points, but the jury would be interested. Like, oh, the day before the murder, you happened to change all of your profile pictures and social media so that you looked more headshotty, like that, like she was worried about what she might look like to the public. So she started to change, those little, like that might turn a juror. That might be like, yeah, why would you all of a sudden turn, Jeff Lacasse, his testimony was that she was acting really strangely for those last few weeks and crying for no reason. And, the breakup and the coming back and we should move in and they should call you daddy. And, just all of these things like the back and forth, and then just gunk, we're done. You're leaving on Friday though, right?
Yeah.
Right. And just weird behavior. Like, was she trying to frame him? It's possible. There's not a whole lot of, we can't prove that, but it's definitely a data point that people might be interested in.
Yeah.
And now, like, the actual shooter and Catherine McBanawa are in prison for life. Charlie Adelson is in prison for life. Donna Adelson's court case has been moved to August, so stay tuned for that. Wendy Adelson's living with her kids in Austin. That's the last I heard. And this wasn't just murder. It was calculated, cold-blooded, higher, hit tied to ego, control, and revenge. So sometimes the most dangerous people aren't strangers, or the
They're
people,
rarely strangers.
they're rarely strangers, the people that are in your family, and that is terrifying. So that is my story.
That was such a good story. Craziness.
Yeah, and he is tied. So we had talked about that at the table, this other story, and because of his law background, he in his Jewish background as well, he was asked to be like an expert witness in this case in New York. So that might be something if we do something quickly in between in the following few weeks. That we talk about, because it's a really interesting story. Like I was like, oh, because he was involved, and they thought maybe the murder was tied to that, but it wasn't. Obviously,
I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right. So that's my story. Yay! So what are you gonna do in 6 weeks?
I have no idea. No clue.
So maybe we'll do some replays, maybe we'll just stop in and just talk about it. There's so many cases going on. There's so many
guys.
She's dying.
I don't have a drink. Anyways.
We off.
I know.
We offered.
I know, but I was fine until now. I think they put something in the air, guys.
She's verklempt.
Don't listen about the 6 weeks.
Oh my
They're
God.
really just killing me.
Okay. So
I'm good.
there's so many court cases that are happening. I mean, at the end of the summer, we have Donna Adelson, but they're always in court. There's so many different things they're trying to postpone. They're trying 80,000 emails and text messages that they have to go through.
Oh my gosh.
So much. And so that's why the postponement happened. There's no way that the defense could have gone through that much evidence. We also have the Karen Reed. Are you about to cough again? She gonna die.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. My throat just got so dry.
So then we have Karen Reed's trial, and she's the woman who was accused of running over her Boston police officer boyfriend and killing him in the middle of a blizzard.
There is a
The second
update to a trial that I did for the Brittany Wilson in North Carolina story.
trial. Ooh, she's about. Let me go get you a
So,
drink.
no, I'm okay. I think I'll make it to the end, maybe.
We have
Guys, if I'm not here in 6 weeks,
Sean.
the last place I
Holmes.
was home
Oh my God!
in
Stop
the
it!
studio.
Stop it! So yeah, we have Sean Combs, so we could do like an
Yeah.
update, like, hey everybody,
We
like,
just
this
do
is
a
it.
whole court case update
I
on different
know.
cases because there's several cases that we have both done that have updates.
Yeah. There's just a lot of really interesting stuff happening right now. But when I say I watched like 15 hours of court, I did, and I was fascinated by it. And then just like these two guys going through like first way to prove that Wendy had something to do with it. Like there was over 100. He had over 100.
Yeah.
Little like before the murder, after the murder, like just like boom, 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 and he was just going through it and just. It was a PowerPoint presentation. I was all for it. It was like I watched it, and she did have a lot to gain. She had a lot to gain. She got her kids. She got to change their names now. She got to move them back home. Like there's just a lot. Anyway, so that's it. That's my story.
That was a good story.
I am gonna miss us recording for 6 weeks, so we might have to just do one in the
We're
middle.
not going to have any listeners.
You guys will hang out. All of a sudden, like a new episode is gonna pop up, and they're gonna be like, "What? Oh yeah,
Surprise!"
It is just us going, "Hey, we're still here." Anyway, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I got nothing else.
All right. Me either.
All right, y'all. Have a good summer break.
Yes.
Enjoy your family.
Don't commit murders.
Don't commit murders. Stay in touch with some friends. Call someone you haven't called in a long time. Check in. Enjoy life. Live every minute. See something,
Beautiful.
say something.
Yes, please. And if you need us, we're still here. You can still message
here.
us.
I mean, we're still here. Not like leaving town or anything. Just doing hot girl shit. All right, guys, we'll see you in a few weeks. But until then, see something, say something. Please be kind to one another. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.